How's it going, everyone? Back with a video on solar power setup on my RV. So far I have started to build a small solar system. While I'm out here, I'll show you one of the things that is part of my power plan. I do have this Predator very quiet 3500 inverter generator, which I've hooked up a remote control to that allows me to remotely start it from inside the camper. This is last case or worst case scenario, or if I'm running the air conditioning. So let me start at the beginning. The idea with this camper is I'm going to try to do some boondocking, or as much as I can. Boondocking, if you don't know what that is, it's basically driving in different locations and parking in random places that you don't have hookups like you'd have in a campground. You don't have water supply, you don't have electricity to hook up to or anything like that. So you got to have all systems on board to be able to handle that. So basically, just by having this inverter, I can plug in as if I was plugged into a campground or a house, start it up and run, and that is powerful enough to run the whole camper, the air conditioning unit and everything, and that's fine. However, who wants to listen to, even though it's a very quiet inverter, it still makes noise and it burns fuel. So part of the idea with the solar is it's free energy, so you don't have to put gas in, and it's also quiet. It makes no noise. So, and it's also very low maintenance once it's set up properly. So my plan is to pretty much not include the generator as part of the power plan at all, but I have it for emergency situations, extended cloudy, rainy days, that type of thing. Okay, up on the camper roof here. Believe it or not, I did clean this roof off. Still got some stains and stuff that I'd like to maybe scrub and get out, but I've been up here recently. I had to replace that cover. Did a little bit of patching on some holes and plastic covers that were broken. Resealed around any items that looked like they needed to be sealed, as well as the wiring for the solar array that I have set up here. I also resealed this front, which is a common place that these leak. So we're watertight up here, and as you see, we have two solar panels. Right now they are Renogy 100 watts each, which generates, when the sun's out, generates around 5 amps of power per panel into the 12-volt battery. So these two, when the sun is out, is charging the battery at about 10 amps. Just kind of keep that in mind. That's one way to rejuvenate the batteries. Now the batteries are going to be basically the plug and the power for this when I'm not plugged in, and I use the batteries directly to power 12-volt, like the lights and certain things inside the camper that run off the 12-volt DC, and an inverter that transfers that 12-volt DC to 120 AC, which is your standard plug like in a house, and that would be to like run the microwave, laptop chargers, TVs, that type of stuff. And you can plug it into an inverter. So these are all components that you need to make a full system, and I've come up with a plan on what I'm going to do. This is my current setup that I'm about to upgrade, and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing in my plan. And any of you solar and RV power experts out there, if you see something that you could help me out on, or a change you might make that makes sense, be more than happy to listen to it. Right now I am running 2 flooded, which are your typical deep cycle marine batteries. I have ordered lithium batteries, and that's why I'm making big changes. So right now, currently, I've got the Renogy. This is the MPPT charge controller, 40 amp, like I said. that's taking the power from the 2 solar panels that I can add up to 8 total and still be within the range of the power that this will handle, which will be up to 800 watts basically, to recharge the battery system. So that whole system is in place working and I'm happy with it, but I am upgrading the batteries and the inverter and stuff on the inside, and I'm going to show you that next. So this battery system right now, these are 80 watt or 80 amp hour a piece, which is basically 160 amp hours of capacity. However, with the flooded type of battery, these traditional batteries, you can only run it down to about 50%. So 160 amp hours for the 80, because these two are combined in parallel, actually gives me an actual 80 amp hours, because it's 1/2 of that. So you basically need 2 batteries to have the capacity of 1, because you can only discharge it halfway. So I have about 80 amp hours of capacity right now in storage, which is not much. 80 amp hours along with the 200 watt solar panel is a small, nice little basic system, and that's what's set up now for general lights and, you know, a couple of small items, which, you know, a lot of people could be happy with. But I'm looking to take the next step up. I ordered some lithium batteries, or a lithium battery that is 200 amp hours. And with lithium batteries, you're able to discharge pretty much the entire battery. So you can use that whole 200 amp hours. So I'm going to be upgrading from 80 amp hours to 200 amp hours. So, you know, 2.5 times the capacity that I have here. Now that's probably still not going to be enough to do full-time boondocking, you know, and basically run without sacrifice, but being a little cautious with usage, that is a good enough system to run once I add at least a couple more panels to recharge them, and maybe supplement it with the generator. But again, it's kind of a work in progress. So I'm finding out though that to upgrade my batteries, these batteries get charged from the solar, which will charge the flooded batteries, and they'll also charge lithium batteries as well. There's a setting on it. However, the built-in converter, that when you plug this camper into AC power or a generator, it also charges the batteries at a 55 amp rate, which is kind of the fastest way to charge them. That is not compatible with lithium. Basically, lithium charges at a different voltage than these do. So I needed to change out my onboard converter, number one, and number two, I needed a inverter to take the 12 volt that's stored here and convert it to AC power to be able to plug in and use regular, you know, like a TV, or, you know, a curling iron, or the microwave, those type of things. So those are 2 items that I needed to buy, and I was planning to do that. That's what I was going to do. And I was going to wire in, you know, a 2,000 to 3,000 watt inverter, which will give me that 120 power. And this is the fuse power station here with the charger, the converter right here that is not compatible with lithium. This will only charge the flooded batteries. So I could just upgrade this unit here. They have kits you can, you know, mount them right in the same casing, or you can do a separate standalone charger that will charge the lithium. So that's what I started looking up, and I was going to do that. And like I said, so I would have bought 2 components. I would have had to buy the converter that was compatible to charge the new lithium batteries on house current or on the generator. They'll charge fine with solar, but I need the capabilities to be able to charge them in other ways, because I can't rely on just solar yet, or probably ever for that matter. I'll always have to have a backup. And like I said, the inverter that is going to make, you know, plugs like this work. Okay, so what I ended up doing is, I'll put a picture of it up here on the screen. I'm buying a combination unit, which basically is a inverter and a converter built in, along with a power switch. So the plan is this one unit is going to be wired into this fuse panel right here and supply the whole camper through the existing plugs with 120 volt, okay? So that unit can be plugged in just like this one can, okay? Just like this is plugged in to your shore or the generator, and that will run all of the plugs, okay? But it also connects built in. It has the inverter for converting the battery from the lithium into AC voltage, all in one unit, and it switches over automatically. So what this is going to give me the capability of doing is, if I'm stationary, I'm plugged in, I plug in, it's going to run the 120 through the unit that I'm buying, okay? And it's not going to take any juice from the batteries. It's actually going to be charging those batteries and supplying power to all the 120 plugs around the camper. So I'm able to use everything in the camper, you know, within power limits. The air conditioner is probably not going to be able to be used through it on battery power, but with a shore AC power I can, okay? So, and it automatically switches. So when you unplug the shore power, or I unplug from my generator, whichever one it's plugged into, it automatically switches over to the lithium batteries and uses its inverter and now sends that 120 voltage through the same lines throughout the whole camper, just like it was, as if I was plugged in, and now runs off of the lithium batteries. Okay, so it's kind of a combination. It's kind of a 3-in-1 unit. It's a switch that's going to switch over from the battery power to shore power automatically. It's, when plugged in to the shore power, it is going to charge my lithium batteries, and it's compatible with that, which this one isn't. And it's also a power inverter, which takes the 12 volts from the batteries and converts it into a 3,000, I think. I forgot what the wattage is. 3,000, 6,000 max, whatever it is. You'll see the picture of it up on the screen here. Might even be higher than that. I can't remember what the specs was. But it's enough to basically run everything that I need inside this camper besides the air conditioning unit on battery power, which I wouldn't run the air conditioner on battery power unless I had quite a few more lithium batteries and more ways to rejuvenate that power. So AC is out unless I'm plugged into shore power or I'm running off the generator. Other than that, everything else in the camper, including the microwave, will run fine off of the lithium batteries. So my only speed bump now will be, I've got 200 amp hours of capacity, which is enough to run the camper, you know, for a day or two, everything in it fine. And depending on how much I can charge back into it, whether I'm able to plug in, I'm able to charge off of my truck, or I'm able to charge off the generator, I might run low on that. I think that buying that combination unit is kind of solving, it's not really solving problems, it's making it more convenient. The ability to automatically switch over and have it all in one unit, I think, is a great idea. Also, I'm going to relocate. Right now the battery is in the front of the fifth wheel. I'm going to relocate. The lithium batteries don't need to be vented. They can basically be inside with you, inside the cab. It doesn't really matter where they are. So I'm going to mount them right next to that inverter. So the actual power cord, the 12 volts between the battery and that unit, is the shortest run possible. And I want it to be able to tie into this existing fuse panel. So what I'm probably going to do is, this is to get a wall in the back here. I'll show you from the other side. This little panel right here is the back side of that power distribution center. So I think this is going to become my battery storage area, and I'm going to have that all-in-one converter charger unit here as well. So I'll be able to have a short run from the batteries to that unit. I'll be able to tie into the existing power here as far as AC power goes. So that'll be, I won't have to run any more cables from that. All I'm going to have to do is use the power cable right now that runs from the front to here. Use that same power from the new converter there. And instead of charging the batteries, that same cable where it brings power up, I believe, oh, that's ground. I believe it's this main wire right here. One of these here that brings power up into this. This runs the slide, the, what else does it run? It runs the slide, this light, and the jacking system. So I'll need to I'll need to have this cable connected to the battery, opposite of what it is now. Right now it's connected right to the battery here, and it's going to be run from there to there. But the cables are already in place. They're big enough. 6-gauge wire, which is going to be fine to run all of these units, which you don't even use them all at the same time anyways. So the only other thing I got to worry about is the charge controller. Right now is a nice short run and connected right to the batteries here. And I need the charge controller to be connected to the lithium batteries that's going to be in the back now. So I don't know if I'm going to relocate the charge controller and have my AC lines from the solar panels run longer, or if I'm going to have leave it here and have the DC output run through these lines. I'll have to do the math. That's only capable of 40 amps of power. I'll have to see how big of a cable that I need to be able to run to charge these batteries up. But I think it's more important to have the solar on a longer run than actually having the inverter that is going to be supplying the 120 volt on a long run from the battery bank. So ultimately it would be nice to have the charge controller and everything all in the same spot and have everything the shortest run possible. But I've already mounted the panels on the roof in the front, and I've got the wires run down through the walls and everything, so I can't change that. So I'll have to figure out, like I said, how to connect the power from that unit to the lithium batteries here. But everything else will be in place. All my wires should be here that I need to tie into. And as confusing as it sounds, in the end, I'm going to have a system that, as it sits here, it will automatically recharge batteries from the sun naturally into the lithium pack. If I'm not plugged in to a generator or house current, everything's going to run just like I am until the batteries run down to zero. So at that point, it's a matter of adding batteries so I have enough capacity for what I need, and adding solar panels to be able to recharge that capacity as much as possible. So that's my system and what I've been working on. I'll probably have a follow-up video and show you how I wired everything in and how it's set up. I did find a really good price on lithium battery on Amazon. I was actually able to find a lithium iron phosphate 200 amp hour battery after, like, it was a coupon. I saved some money, this, that, the other thing. I think it was like $699 for, like I said, a 200 amp hour. Usually it's about $700 or $800, up to $1,000 or even $1,100-$1,200 just for a 100 amp hour lithium battery. So I'm getting double the capacity for about 2/3 the price of just one. So seems the prices of those are getting competitive and going down. So with the price of lithium batteries coming down, in no time I'll be able to add another 200 amp hours. So I'll have 2 of those battery packs. That'll be 400 amp hours, and add you know, a couple more solar panels at a time. Ultimately, in the end, I'd like to end up with 8 solar panels, 800 amp hours of battery storage, generator for backup, and that should be pretty much all the power needs that I'll have as far as to be able to boondock for, you know, days on end. Just, I could go out on the side of a mountain and have power. I've got storage tanks for, you know, for water and toilet on board. I'll have heat and air conditioning if I want to run the generator for the air conditioning. If not, I'm just going to use fans. So, like I said, pretty much have everything that I need on board to be able to just go out in the middle of nowhere. Hopefully this helps somebody out. I just wanted to show my system and how it is now and what I'm planning on doing in the future. And there's a lot of good resources out there if you just do a search. I've been watching hours on end of lithium batteries, solar systems, RVs, you know, so many different upgrades and things. It's kind of a really good little project, a little fun project to have this little home away from home. A lot of fun things you can do with it. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching.